Today, I'm going to show you how you can edit an awesome basketball workout video like this.
Don't do discussions on bragging about hundreds. Don't go to your places, I know that they sunken. Don't call me your brother, I barely could trust you. I talked to a shorty, she bagging the bugging. And I'm in.
Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is Sarellas. I'm a videographer and editor from Toronto, Canada. And today I'm going to show you how you can edit a really cool basketball workout video. This video is going to be a little bit longer than normal because I'm going to go over literally everything that I do to edit basketball workout videos like the one you just saw. And by the end of this video, if you stick through the whole thing, you'll be able to do that too. So get ready, this one's going to be a doozy. Now let's get into Premiere Pro and After Effects. So we're here in Premiere Pro. I normally start by taking all of my footage here and making a rough cut. So I took all the footage from his workout, I laid it across in a big timeline. So this footage here in purple is the footage from my second shooter, and this footage here in the blue is my footage. And I'm literally going through, I'm watching all of the footage, and when I like a clip, I'm cutting it and pulling it up. So basically my process would look something like this. I'm going through, things are playing back. Let's say I like that shot, so then I would go back to this point. I do Command K to cut it. I go through, the ball goes in, I cut it there, and then hold Option and click the up arrow to bring it up. And now I know that because it's on this second layer, this is a good moment that I might want to use in my workout video. I literally go through and do this for all the footage along with the shot list that I made. And I've talked about shot lists in other videos. So if you haven't seen the video where I talk about a shot list, there's a link for it right here. And you can go check that out. Using that technique of calling footage along with the shot list, I get all the footage that I want to actually use in this video. So you can see here I pulled up different footage onto different layers to help me organize it better. The stuff on V4 here is footage that I think I can stabilize. So footage where his head kind of stays close to the middle of the frame. I feel like I could use a stabilization effect, but we're going to go over stabilization effects later. But I just wanted to separate that footage. Anything that's highlighted green is something I definitely want to use. For example, this dunk. Anything that's highlighted in brown is B-roll. So that's a little B-roll clip I can use. And basically, once I have all of this footage sorted and have it all pulled out, I drag and select everything just like that. I Command C, and then I'll bring it over to the side here. I Command V, that pastes everything. And then I know that because I pulled up all the stuff I want, everything that I don't want is on the layer V1. So I highlight everything on V1, and then I hold Shift and delete. And that deletes all the stuff I don't want and takes all the stuff that I do want and tightens it all together. So now I have this little bit here, and this is all of the clips that I actually want to use. I've got the actual video here, like this is going to be the rough cut V1.1, and this is the footage call where I'm just calling all the footage and doing exactly what I just showed you. So now I can literally just start taking clips, grabbing them, and dragging them down here, just like this. And I can start building out a video the same way that I built this video out here. In this video, I'm not going to go over specifics on how I actually do like the cutting for sports videos and things that I'm looking for, because I made another video called how to create an epic sports highlight reel that goes over that. This is going to be more of an effects driven, After Effects kind of finishing type of editing video. So I'm going to kind of skip through the whole part of how I built the assembly edit, and if you want to see how I do that, you can go to this other video after you're done watching this one. Now we've called our footage using this kind of pancake timeline technique, and we're going to be bringing this rough cut that we have here into After Effects. Oh, something I should mention, if you don't have this pancake timeline set up in Premiere Pro, you might have something that looks kind of like this, where you just have all your sequences on one thing. If you just take the actual sequence for your video and drag it to the bottom, that'll place it on the bottom and your footage call sequence on the top, and then you just literally stretch them out like that. And then you have the little pancake set up, and then you can start just dragging and dropping footage like this. And that makes it really easy and efficient to work when you're building out your assembly edits. Now that we have this built out and we have our rough edit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the end here where this ends. I'm going to click O to mark the endpoint. I'll hit Command M to bring up the export window. That brings up this window right here. And we're going to export a full resolution version of this video so that when we bring it into After Effects, we can do edits and we're not losing any quality. So the settings that I use to export a full resolution video are right here: QuickTime, Custom, Apple ProRes 444, render at maximum depth. I'm only shooting 8-bit on my Sony mirrorless camera anyways, so I can just leave this at 8-bit, but if you have footage that's higher than 8-bit, then you want to 16-bit. You can choose maximum render quality, and you render at maximum depth. If you're using a Windows machine, you might not have this QuickTime option available, so then you want to export using DNxHR, which is right here. That's the full res option for you. but I'm on a Mac, so I'm using this. I would just click on this and decide where I want to output it to. I'm not actually going to output this because I've already done it, but say I want to output it here, I would just click save, and then you click export, or you can hit Q if you want to export from Adobe Media Encoder. And that will give you a full res version you can bring into After Effects, which is where we are going right now. Alright, so we're here in Adobe After Effects. I know that this timeline right now probably looks really confusing to you. You can see that there's a whole bunch of layers, and this is probably overwhelming. But it's okay, we're going to start from basics right now, and I'm going to show you exactly how I got to this point. Let's come over here to our Premiere Pro renders folder. So I want to make a new composition using this full resolution file. So I just take it, I drag it down to this little thing right here, and that creates a new composition that automatically takes on the settings of this video. So it's automatically 1920 by 1080. The frame rate is going to be the frame rate of this video, which is 23.976. And from there, we're basically just going to start cutting this up. So we have it cut the same way it was in Premiere. So I'm basically holding Shift and Command and skipping through this video. I'm finding points where it cuts, and whenever I see a cut, I just hit Command Shift D, and that creates a cut and separates into two different layers. So we're going through this video, we're just going to find all the cuts. Command Shift D, going through again. Command Shift D. And if you're smart, like smarter than I am, you see how all these markers appeared on my layer in After Effects? If you're smarter than me, you'll, in Premiere, put a marker every time there's a cut, so that when you export into After Effects, you actually have a marker at every single cut and you can just cut on the markers. I forgot to do that for this video, quite honestly. And like, it's only a 45-second video, so I don't mind going through and just finding all the little cuts. But if you have a longer format video and you don't want to have to go through this kind of tedious process, then definitely just put markers on all your cuts, and then you'll know exactly where to cut and it'll be real easy for you. But anyways, I'm just going to speed through the rest of this, and I will see you guys when this video is all cut up. Alright, so I didn't cut up the whole video, I just cut up the first half of it because I'm not going to actually go through and edit the entire video right now. I'm just going to show you the techniques that I used, and then it's basically just a repetitive process once you know all the techniques. But I cut this video up so that every single time I actually made a cut in Premiere, I have a cut, and that represents a new layer here in After Effects. So we're going to go here and find one clip that we want to stabilize, and I'm going to show you the stabilization effect that I use when I'm going through and doing these workout videos. It's basically the one from the Beats by Dre commercial. If you've ever seen those like Beats by Dre things where the guy's running and the headphones stay in the middle, it's that effect. I like using it a lot for sports videos, and it works really well on clips where you have the person kind of like staying in one spot in the frame the entire time. So we're just going to go through and stabilize this shot because the head's pretty static. So you come into After Effects and you click on Stabilize Motion. This gives you this little track point that you can position on the player's head or wherever else you want. And we're going to track the player, so we want to put it on his head onto a point that's going to be easy for us to track. You can see that right now this image is very pixelated, and that's because I have this set to half. When you're tracking, you want to set your resolution to full so that the image is as clear as possible. This is going to help the track point pick up on your video file and really stick to your subject well. So I usually like to use the person's eyes as a track point. So I put the small box around the person's eyes, and the small box represents the actual subject that you're tracking. Then I take this big box, and this big box represents the area that After Effects is going to search from one frame to the next to find the small box, the thing that's in there. So I want to make this pretty big so that his eye from one frame to the next always remains within this box. Now I'm going to start tracking forward one frame at a time, and you can already see it kind of messed up. That's going to be a theme for this type of footage where you're not shooting it to track, you're shooting it and then tracking it after, and there's no tracking points. You're going to get it messing up. So you're going to have to go one frame at a time a lot of the time. This looks like it's sticking pretty well, but there we go. Now this shot is tracked, so we're going to click Apply, we're going to click X and Y, and now the tracking data is applied to this footage. So now you can see as we play through, this moves around a little bit. It's not really in the frame. But what we didn't do yet, and what's going to make this better, is changing our composition settings. So you can go composition settings, or you can hit Command K, and that brings up this. And now we can make our composition formatted for Instagram. So we want to make it 1080 by 1350. That's 4:5, and that's the aspect ratio that is ideal for Instagram posts. So we click OK to that, and now we're going to hit S to bring up scale. We're going to hit Shift and click P to bring up position, and we're just going to scale this up to 125%. That's not going to fill the frame, because that would fill the frame if we weren't tracking this clip and it wasn't moving. because this clip is tracked and is moving, we're going to need to scale it up more than that. You can see if I click Shift and A to also bring up anchor point, all the tracking data is locked onto the anchor point layer. So you can see it there and you can make changes to it if you want. We just need to scale this up and maybe reposition it so that we don't have any of these transparent bits here. We want to make sure that the entire frame is covered the whole time. So we're going to change the scale to 135 and we'll see if that works. And that does a pretty good job of keeping this player in the middle of the frame. Now he's kind of short-sighted here. He's too far off to the right of the frame for my liking, so I'm going to use the position and just drag it back. So now he's kind of got some more looking room. And if we play this clip back, you can see that now we have a guy who's fully tracked. His head stays in the same position of the frame the whole time. So I use this effect a lot in these videos. It's really as simple as that, just going through and cutting all the clips up and then tracking them with that technique. But you need to make sure when you're shooting, you shoot a little bit wider than you need because you are going to be punching in, and you need to make sure that you keep your subject's head or the ball or whatever else it is that you're going to track in the same position in the frame the entire time. Once I've added this stabilization effect to any clips in my video that I feel needed, and I've also taken any other effects that I've planned and put those into my video, then I go and export this back into Premiere. So I'm going to just show you guys how I export back into Premiere from After Effects right now, and then we'll hop back into Premiere and I'll show you some color grading stuff. Now for this video, you'll notice from the one I showed you at the start, I actually did some Rgb Chromatic Aberration type of effects, and I actually decided to do that after I'd finished coloring the video because I wasn't sure how I felt about that, but I just watched the finished video and didn't really like what I was seeing there. So I went back and added more effects. So I'm actually going to take you through this in the order that I did it. But if you have ideas for effects, ideally you want to be doing them all at this point right now. And if you had ideas for effects where you think you might have needed footage like a cross dissolve, you would be able to do a cross dissolve here, really, because you don't have the data from this clip beyond this point, since when you exported the full res version from Premiere, you left it back there. So any effect where you want data that's not directly visible, but you just need some frames to like make the transition happen, you want to plan for those and either do them in Premiere or export the clip as a longer file than you need, so you have data on either end to play with for those transitions. And that's why you want to be very intentional and plan with your effects, which again is something I've talked about before. But for this video, I knew I was focusing on the stabilization thing, so I just rocked with it like this. And then I did the RGB stuff, and we'll get into that after. A bit of a rant, but here's how I export from After Effects back to Premiere and keep it full res. We want to double check that our beginning and end points are set and cover the entire duration of our composition. So if you click B and N, you can set your beginning and end points here. If your beginning and end points are set to some weird place like this, it's only going to render the stuff in between this area, and we don't want that. So you go to the start, you click B, you go to the end, you click N, and now it's going to render the entire composition. You go File, Export, Add to Render Queue, pull this up, we can see there's our thing right there. We're going to rename this V1.2 Anthony Workout FQ for full quality. And I would save that into the exports file in my project. So I'm not going to save this one because I've already got this exported. But we'll just say cancel and we'll hop back into Premiere and I'll show you my coloring and then we'll get into the RGB effects as well. Hey there, Future Peter here. So I'm editing this video right now and it's already at 13 minutes long, and I don't really want to push it beyond that because I want this information to all be digestible. So I'm actually going to move part 2 into next week. This video is coming out on Monday, September 7th. Part 2, which goes over my full color grading process and exactly how I color my videos, as well as the RGB glitch and chromatic aberration effects that I used on the example video here, is going to be coming out on Monday, September 14th, 2020. If it's already past that date when you're watching this, then congratulations, you can go watch part 2 right here. And if it's not, then hang tight, subscribe to the channel, stick around till then. I promise you, I have part 2 coming. It's gonna be worth it. Or in the meantime, go find me on Instagram at Sarellas. Hit me up there if you have any questions. Anyways, I won't go on for too long. We'll end this right here. I will see you at part 2. Peace.